Once upon a time, Bruce Dodson and Janice Lee are struck by Cupid's arrow.
I've never seen anybody so head over heels over somebody like he was.
She made Bruce feel like $1 million. Here she is, a beautiful woman in total love with Bruce.
But early one morning, tragedy pierces their love.
That just went straight to my bones.
Worked a lot of homicide cases, but none as conniving as this. It was cold-blooded.
For this couple, the honeymoon is over. In a little chapel in Cedar Ridge, Colorado, a Western-themed wedding is underway.
I've been to a lot of weddings. I've never seen anything like that.
The cowgirl bride is Janice Lee, an outgoing and passionate 43-year-old nurse who has finally found love again after a painful divorce.
Here she is all decked out in nines, a beautiful woman, and she is in total love with Bruce.
This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you.
Her real-life cowboy, Bruce Dodson, a quiet and trustworthy medical technician.
Can we have the rings?
At 48, he's never married. He has been in love before, but it didn't last and left him wounded. Now he has Janice.
I have never seen any man look so in love. I mean, he just radiated this love.
She made him feel like he'd never felt before with any other woman.
I never thought that I would find love again or even want to until the day that I literally bumped into you.
Both have felt their share of heartbreak, but now those misfires are a distant memory. They know now they've hit the mark.
I now pronounce you man and wife. You may now kiss the bride.
To find each other at this stage of life and to have it be so perfect and what feels like an instant match can feel like, hey, it was worth the wait.
But 3 months later to the day, hearts will break all over again. As the sun rises over Colorado's Uncompahgre National Forest, off-duty police officer Doug Kyle is easing into another quiet day on his hunting trip.
About 7 o'clock, it's starting to get light, and I'm just kind of dozing in the tent. I heard a shot go off, and it was very, very close to the camp, and, you know, pretty loud.
And then
and it was quiet after that. I thought, well, maybe the deer jumped up, ran a little bit, and they had to shoot it again to put it down, you know, to finish it.
Doug goes about his morning, and 2 hours pass. Then he sees a fellow hunter.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm Janice Dobson.
Hi.
My husband. Hey, good to meet you.
Yeah. Did you hear those gunshots?
No, I don't recall hearing anything.
Oh.
She explains she and her husband Bruce had gone hunting early that morning. They split up, and she hunted on her own for a while before circling back to their campsite. Maybe those were his shots. It's his first hunting trip. She'd be so happy if he bagged a deer. She goes off to find him. But then, 15 minutes later, another sound shatters the peaceful morning.
I turned my radio down and eventually understood that it was someone screaming for help.
There's a man down.
So at that point, I saw there was a bad problem, and I took off running down towards them. In the center of his back is a huge spot of blood, and I mean a gaping wound in his back.
It's Bruce. Janice is panic-stricken.
She fell to her knees and grabbed me around the waist, saying, "Oh, he's hurt, you've got to help him."
She insists he's still alive, so Doug races to get help.
Whenever there's an injury like that, well, it's all hands on deck. If you can save a life, that's what you're there to do.
Will Janice lose her new husband here in the wilderness he's always loved so much? The second-born son to a loving family, Bruce has always longed for a world different from his home city of Baltimore, Maryland.
He really didn't like being in the city, the noise, traffic, and all of that. He just really preferred the outdoors.
When he's a young kid, a family road trip leads them through the breathtaking landscape of Colorado. There, Bruce finally feels at home.
And he made the comment that this is how people should live, because I think it was such a contrast to where we were growing up.
After college, he moves to western Colorado, a picturesque area nestled against the southern slopes of the Grand Mesa.
We all love a cowboy, don't we? They tend to be rough and tumble. They tend to be independent. I think women imagine them to be great protectors. And this is what Bruce was.
He talked about having a horse and being in the mountains on the horseback, and that was his dream. He was living his dream.
But Bruce knows he must hang up the Stetson once in a while to work. He gets a job at Delta County Memorial Hospital as a medical technician. He's a hit with the ladies there, who develop a sisterly love for the sweet, tender-hearted guy.
He was like my big brother. He watched over me, and he was very considerate, a very kind person.
We should order some lunch. What time is it? Do you want to eat with us? Or do you want to order something? Yeah.
Oh, no,
Okay.
that's okay. That's okay. I've got to.
They sometimes tease him about how tight he is with his money, but he just wants to retire early.
His dream was to work hard, save enough money that he could live the rest of his life in the mountains of Colorado with his horse.
Bruce has been searching for someone to share those dreams with. He even fell in love once, but tragically, she died of cancer. Since then, he just hasn't found a woman who can measure up to his lost love.
You'll find somebody.
Janice Lee grows up 1,000 miles to the southeast in Texas. She marries at 16, has 2 kids, and becomes a nurse. The family moves to Colorado, but after 25 years of marriage, her husband has a torrid affair, and not with just any woman.
What are you doing?
Janice.
What are you doing?
Her ex-husband had left her for her daughter's best friend.
Get out!
Janice, wait, just give me a second. Just let me explain.
Get out! Get out!
And I think that was devastating to her.
When spouses cheat with someone who's very close to the family, the betrayal feels so awful. It's not just a physical betrayal, sexual betrayal. It's also a deep emotional betrayal. You add on to that the idea that here's a woman reaching middle age, and here's a young woman in her early 20s, and you got to say to yourself, how can I compete with that?
Once her divorce is finalized and with her adult children out on their own, she decides not to let the betrayal ruin her. It's time for a new life. Now a nurse at Delta County Memorial Hospital, the once uptight and conservative Janice unleashes a new, free-spirited party girl side.
I'd not buy one drink all night long.
This is a really common thing. I call it the divorce transformation. This is when the person reeling from the trauma of a breakup like this says, I am going to make myself very attractive to the next person. I'm going to do whatever it takes so that I will feel lovable. And this is exactly what Janice did.
Kidding me?
No,
we
never
were
happened.
dancing. Oh my gosh, it was such a big time. Oh my word.
She could just be the life of the party. She knew how to work a room, and she liked people.
Of course.
Something like that. You are crazy, girl. I'll get after it.
Everyone thinks she's great.
Alrighty.
including Bruce. It's an instant mutual attraction.
You'd watch them together and they were just laughing and joking and just having a really good time. And I thought that was great.
I'm Bruce. Hi.
I'm sorry. I didn't.
You're sorry?
Yeah, I didn't.
Funny name.
No.
Sorry.
When he found Janice, I think he felt like he had found maybe a kindred spirit.
You know, I actually, you don't want to grab dinner like
2 years after her divorce, Janice still feels the sting from the betrayal, but she decides to reopen her heart.
I think it was really hard for her to get back into feeling comfortable about herself around men. With Bruce, she could talk to him, she felt comfortable with him, and maybe she felt that maybe it was okay to love again.
But just 3 months after they take that love to the altar, the two lovers who finally found each other had been blown apart by gunfire. As the new bride has and holds her groom, off-duty police officer Doug Kyle races to get help.
There's millions of acres in the Uncompahgre National Forest. The area we were in was 60-plus miles away from the closest town.
Will he make it in time? Or has Until Death Do You Part come tragically too soon? Deep in Colorado's Uncompahgre National Forest, newlywed Janice Dodson discovers her husband Bruce shot. It takes Mesa County Police an hour to get to the remote location.
When you get a call of a hunting accident or someone shot, it's imperative that you get there as fast as possible. Every moment is absolutely critical.
But too much time has passed.
He was blue. He was completely discolored. I tried to find a pulse on his neck. There was none.
They break the news to the new bride.
And I just had to look at her and tell her there's nothing we can do for this man. She refused. She started screaming, "No, he's just hurt. You've got to help him."
Why aren't you helping him?
This isn't just a loved one. This is her newlywed husband, her groom, the man she'd waited all her life for. This is her world falling apart. This is her strong, sturdy cowboy falling down.
Police ease Janice away and focus on the evidence to understand what happened.
When you hunt in Colorado, you need to wear a blaze orange vest. That's the law for hunting. Well, his hat and vest was away from the body. So naturally, it was a first assumption that this man was shot because he didn't have his vest on. Somebody could have mistaken him for an animal.
Had he taken the vest off for some reason? Police hope the shaken bride saw something, but she still can't believe this is even happening.
She said, "We've been married 3 months to the day." She said, "We were going to have a date tonight for our anniversary." And she said, "But y'all got to help him. You got to help him."
Finally, they convince her. He's dead.
She passed out. She was going into shock. They called for the helicopter to fly to this remote area and transport her to the hospital.
How could their future together be cut short like this? Just 3 years earlier, the couple begins a love story straight off the silver screen. Bruce has found his real-life Annie Oakley. She's beautiful and tough.
Janice loved the outdoors, and hunting was a passion of hers. She did enjoy horseback riding, hiking, and I think that was a definite plus for Bruce to find his soulmate that enjoyed having the same interests that he did.
One of the most important things for couples is for them to share common interests, whatever it is. Where two people participate and each have a voice in the decisions is one thing that leads to having a very solid long-term relationship.
My brother was happy. I was glad that he found somebody to spend his time with. He just felt more complete.
Janice never thought she'd feel safe with a man again. But slowly, she learned she can trust Bruce.
You could tell she just genuinely loved him.
But like with any couple, they do have their differences, which become more apparent when the lovers move in together. He's a penny pincher, and in her new seize-the-day incarnation after her divorce, she loves to spoil herself.
Oh, honey, that's a lot of bags.
Oh, yeah, well, you know, I had some good sales and stuff.
Because he was so frugal and she was the opposite, loved spending money. I think he really wanted to try to teach her the value of money and, saving.
Honey, it's not even a special occasion. I mean, it just looks like a lot.
Darling, you have to live just a little bit. I'll show you what I got here.
He wants to be ready for a long, happy life with her after they retire.
We can't spend $500 on boots.
She wants to live the best life now.
You loosen up. You are so tight with your money. My goodness.
Okay.
You like them.
They're pretty.
But these differences are nothing compared to the love the two share. And Bruce is convinced Janice is the one.
I wanted to talk to you for a second today.
After dating just a few months, Bruce makes his move.
Janice Lee. Please. Will you marry me?
Oh, Bruce.
But Janice has a devastating answer.
I'm not ready.
She's still too scarred by the betrayal of her first marriage. Bruce is hurt, but remains convinced he'll get the answer he wants one day.
This shows that Bruce was a solid guy who could sacrifice, who could wait until she was ready. He could be patient.
And patient he is. They date for almost 3 more years without really getting any closer. Finally, in the spring of 1995, Janice realizes her fear is stopping her from real happiness with Bruce. The only way to move forward is to find closure with her ex. She goes to a family reunion in Texas, where she knows her ex-husband will be, and confronts him there.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good.
Hug.
We need to talk.
Okay. You want to come on in?
It's difficult for her, especially since he's now married to their daughter's friend. But it's something she has to do. When she returns, Janice tells her friends she's finally let go of the past.
She said, I saw my ex-husband and we had a chance to really talk, and I've really resolved some issues that I had with him. Now I think I can really give my love to Bruce.
Hey.
You know that I love you with all my heart, right?
She tells Bruce she's ready to be his wife.
Bruce patiently waited, and then the time was right. She was ready to be able to take in love and give love and enjoy a future with someone who could appreciate her.
You sell that ring around here?
Are you kidding? Right here?
Just like the happy ending to a Western flick, the heroic cowboy rescues his lady from a lonely future.
I've never seen him more happy. When she finally said yes, I just think he was ecstatic.
But now, all that happiness is gone forever. Bruce is dead, and Janice is hospitalized after breaking down at the scene. Police try to piece together the timeline of that morning. Doug Kyle says he heard 3 shots around 7 a.m. A couple hours later, he heard Janice's screams when she came upon her husband's body. Investigators hope to find other witnesses.
There's hunters everywhere. You want to identify as many people as you can that are in the area. It's a tedious job.
After an expansive search, they come up empty. Then the next day, an unexpected twist. Bruce's autopsy report shows he was shot at not once, but 3 times. One shot could be a tragic accident, but not 3. The first only grazed his back, punching a hole in his vest. The second entered his chest, exiting under his right arm. The third struck him in the back, severing his spine and leaving a fragment in his body.
The core of a bullet lodged in his left lung.
The fragment is possibly from a .308 caliber rifle. Investigators think after the first grazing shot, Bruce took his vest off to wave it to warn the shooter he was not a deer. But obviously, the shooter had not fired by accident.
This is somebody who sat, plotted, waited, looked down their scope, and at just the right moment took their shot.
At that point, it was a full-blown homicide investigation. Somebody wanted him dead, and we needed to find out who and why.
But Bruce didn't seem to have an enemy in the world. So how had the hunter become the prey? Soon, police will discover the shocking identity of another hunter who was on that mountain that day with a powerful motive to send Bruce to an early grave. 3 months to the day after the Western wedding of Bruce and Janice Dotson, Bruce is killed during a newlywed hunting trip. What was suspected to be a terrible accident has now become a homicide investigation. As the shocking news spreads, family and friends struggle to comprehend the loss.
A friend called me and she said that Bruce had been shot. And I said, well, where is he? Is he okay? And she said, no, he's not. He's not gonna be okay. Bruce is dead. It was just hard to process. It didn't make sense.
My brother had called, and he was crying, and he said, Bruce has been killed. You know, something about being shot on this hunting trip. I felt so helpless, you know, just completely helpless.
Friends worry about the new widow, who has been hospitalized after collapsing at the scene.
And I said, well, what about Janice? Is Janice okay? And she said, well, she's not doing so good either. She went into some kind of catatonic shock and they've had to airlife her to St. Mary's.
When doctors finally stabilize her, she tells police what she knows. Early that morning, she and Bruce decided to separate, looking for deer.
It's got horns, get it.
Okay, all right.
He was wearing his vest at that point. She went down into a ravine, and Bruce headed into a field. She had no luck hunting that morning. 2 hours later, after chatting with Doug Kyle at his camp, she circled back toward the field where Bruce was supposed to be. That's when she found him. She hadn't seen the shooter and has no idea who would want to hurt Bruce. Police returned to the crime scene for more evidence. The bullet fragment in the body is not enough to definitively determine what type of weapon was used. There has to be something, somewhere. And there is.
There was a fence post that had a bullet hole through it. Fresh bullet hole right through the fence post.
Was it from one of the shots that hit Bruce? They know where the body was. A line from there through the bullet hole should reveal the shooter's position.
So a string was strung from that area, from the body, through the fence post to an area of brush.
It leads them right to what they were looking for, where the shot came from. And there, finally, evidence.
We had a .308 shell casing that was found in an area within 60 yards of where the body was.
Investigators suspected the murder weapon was a .308. But whose was it? None of Janice's or Bruce's rifles are that caliber. As police continue to canvass the area around the couple's campsite, they're stunned to discover who else just happened to be hunting in the area on the morning of the murder. Janice's ex-husband.
He was camping 3/4 of a mile away. In fact, it was directly down a fence line from where the victim was shot.
The plot thickens. Now there's the ex-husband of Janice, camping very close by in the same forest. Could he want to get rid of her new husband in some way? Who knows?
Janice's ex-husband, who had cheated on her with her daughter's friend, causing an ugly divorce, was camping with his new wife in the same place at the same time Bruce was killed? Out of all the possible hunting sites in the U.S., he chose the Uncompahgre, and out of 1 million acres of the Uncompahgre, he chose that exact spot? What are the odds?
We determined that Janice Dotson's ex-husband actually left the area of the day of the shooting. So that raised our eyebrows. You know, it's like, wait a minute, you know, something's wrong here. At that point, we wanted to talk to the ex-husband.
Police scrambled to track down the man who may have robbed this couple of their future. A committed future together that had only just begun. After 3 long years of waiting, the wedding planning begins. Bruce envisions a winter wedding when Colorado was blanketed in crisp white snow. But Janice can no longer wait.
She was in such a hurry to get married, as she said, you know, we've dated this long. It made me realize what a great guy he is, and I want to be his wife, and I want to do it now.
I just don't think I want to wait that long.
Once Janice made up her mind, she stuck to it. This girl didn't just dream, she didn't just plan, she did. So when she said yes to this marriage proposal, it was time to plan a wedding, and she was not going to waste any time.
What do you think about here?
I just want you to be able to plan.
Oh, I think I can do it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
They set the date for July 15th, just 6 weeks away. It's not much time, but she'll make it perfect.
She wanted a Western theme. She wanted the big wedding. She wanted the white dress. She wanted the cake. She wanted everything. So we had a lot of rushing to get everything together for that.
It's all coming together, but it's happening so fast.
He told me the date of the wedding, and we couldn't go because it was too short notice. I think he tried to brush it off, but I think he really was hurt by it, you know.
Bruce reminds himself no matter who's in attendance, he's finally marrying the woman of his dreams. Yet now, he's been ripped from Janice's arms and put in a body bag. Police suspect Janice's ex-husband, who was camping near the couple that fateful day with his new wife.
It's kind of convenient. You know, all of a sudden this man leaves the same day of the murder, and he vacates the area.
Investigators track him down at his home in Utah.
Excuse me, sir. Would you mind setting down the axe for us while we ask you a couple questions?
But when they question him, he claims to know nothing of the murder.
You know, right off the bat, I just want to let you know I didn't do it.
Then he claims someone actually stole items from his campsite on that trip, including a .308 caliber rifle and .308 ammunition.
Did you report it stolen?
I'm reporting it now. Yeah, you can go ahead and write that down.
Exactly the type of rifle that killed Bruce.
When we start to look at this whole big picture, we have the rifle, this .308, all of a sudden, you know, gets stolen from the ex-husband's camp. He's camped 3/4 of a mile away. He was a prime suspect at that point.
But why would he kill Bruce?
You start to wonder, is he trying to get revenge at her?
A dead groom, a grieving widow, an ex with some sort of possible grudge hunting in the area. The answers to this baffling case are waiting to be unearthed somewhere in the vast wilderness of Colorado. Colorado police suspect Bruce Dotson might have been gunned down by his new bride's ex-husband. Not only was the ex near the scene, he also owns a .308 caliber rifle, the type used to kill Bruce. But he claims his gun was stolen, and his wife confirms it's missing. Without the rifle, they can't make an arrest, so they scour the wilderness for it.
We went up there numerous times. We had carried in a little boat and put it in a pond and floated around the pond with metal detectors, everything dug in mud. It was just, we were stumped.
It's frustrating for everyone.
But then to think that he was targeted, this good guy, this nice guy, this solid, strong, stable cowboy, suddenly being the target of somebody who wanted to plot a murder? It didn't make sense.
Bruce's loved ones deserve answers. Just 3 months earlier, they had all gathered for the couple's dream Western-themed wedding. The bride is a vision, and Bruce can hardly hold himself together.
Together, this man, Bruce, and this woman, Janice.
It's the perfect day. Well, almost. Janice invites her ex-boyfriend to be a groomsman. It's uncomfortable.
Bruce knew that he was a former lover, and I think he was kind of taken back that she wanted him to be in their wedding party. But he accepted it and said, if that's what you want, then that's what we'll do.
This makes me a little bit suspicious. I mean, I understand people say, yeah, he was my ex-boyfriend, but we're friends now. But do you want him on the altar with you at your wedding? What is she thinking?
Afterward, they prep for a honeymoon to the Oregon coast. Janice really prepares.
Hey, honey, you ready to go? Can I get going?
Yeah, I just need you to sign something real quick.
Honey, we gotta get going.
I know what I was just thinking.
She wanted to make sure that they had everything in order because she was afraid if something happened. So she had life insurance policy on Bruce, and everything was heavily insured.
I don't want to worry.
Okay. I want you to be happy. Okay. Just tell me what you need me to do.
I need you to sign here.
Of course, nothing bad happens on the honeymoon. But in the weeks after the honeymoon, friends notice Bruce begins changing.
Hey, Bruce, what's happening? What's wrong? You feeling okay?
He doesn't have the same spark. He even hints that he started to doubt his marriage, though he gives no details.
What are you talking about? You two are great together. What's going on?
Doesn't feel great.
He didn't seem his carefree self. He seemed rather withdrawn during that time. I think he was wondering if he'd made a big mistake. And this woman that he'd fallen in love with, was she the person that he thought she was?
Has something soured between the newlyweds behind closed doors?
I don't think I'm working out. I'm really worried about him. I've never seen him like that before.
Before that question can be answered, his loved ones gather for his funeral.
I'd like to thank you for coming.
For the widow, the grief seems overwhelming.
Janice at the funeral was leaning on people and having to be walked out, and, because she was so distraught. It was just hard to watch.
Without solid evidence against Janice's ex-husband, police have to look elsewhere. Because spouses are so often involved, they check into the grieving widow.
You have to rule her out or rule her in, and at that point, we could not rule her out as a suspect. But why would she want her husband of 3 months dead? Didn't make sense.
They run a financial records check to see how much she stood to gain from his death. And they get a big surprise.
This party just got to be a whole lot of fun now.
Within a month, even before the life insurance has come through, the grieving widow has cashed out more than $100,000 in Bruce's property holdings and bank accounts. And she's been spending it like crazy.
Found that she, in fact, was not grieving, but in fact at the Players Club Casino in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
People mourn in different ways, but really, gambling? A casino? She's out there sowing her wild oats, spending money, gambling. I don't think that's the common way to grieve, actually.
Investigators have to wonder, has the real killer been hiding in plain sight the entire time? Police in Colorado now suspect Janice Dodson may somehow be behind the brutal murder of her husband of 3 months, Bruce. Detectives learn she made sure he added her to his financial holdings before the ceremony.
He said something to the effect of having to spend the day with Janice, getting her name on all of his financial everything that he'd worked so hard, all of his adult life, his investments, and she insisted that her name be on those investments that day, and it upset him.
Money, a classic motive.
We executed search warrants on bank accounts, insurance companies, investments. We found that she stood to gain a total of $487,500 from his death.
Even worse, one of Bruce's friends tells them about a shocking phone call she got the day before the wedding. It was from Janice's former lover, the groomsman. He claimed Janice slept with him just days earlier. Unsure if she could trust the groomsman, the friend decided not to tell Bruce.
If Janice had an affair right before the wedding, that's almost all you need to know about her character.
The groomsman is never investigated as a suspect. Police are confident Janice carefully plotted Bruce's murder on her own before the wedding. They think she deliberately scheduled the hunting trip for the time and place where her ex-husband would be, with the woman he had cheated on her with. They believe Janice crept into her ex's camp, stole his .308 and ammo, and used it to kill Bruce, setting up her ex to take the fall for the murder.
She knew where he was going to be camped because he talked to her. He didn't know she was coming up there, but she knew where he was going to be.
Hey, how you doing?
And we thought maybe she just did this to get even with him for leaving her for the daughter's girlfriend.
But there's no solid proof.
We couldn't put her at the ex-husband's camp. We couldn't find a rifle.
Without enough evidence for an arrest, 3 years pass. Janice stays busy. She moves to Texas and remarries, also taking life insurance out on her new husband. Police refuse to drop the case and return to the crime scene over and over, searching for anything.
We were up there every chance we could. My partner and I, we would go up to the mountain and we'd search for evidence.
They don't find the rifle, but on one trip, a new team member finds a way to link Janice to the site.
We were searching near the ex-husband's camp. We had an individual with NecroSearch International. He was a geologist, and he made mention to me that the pond near the ex-husband's camp was lined with bentonite clay. It's a gray, gummy type of substance.
They recall something witness Doug Kyle mentioned about Janice's coveralls when he saw her that morning.
Coveralls were fairly covered in some dark mud.
At the time, she explained she'd fallen into a swampy area at her camp.
What if the mud on her clothes is not where she said she stepped? What if the mud on her clothes was from the ex-husband's camp where the rifle was stolen?
They dig the coveralls out of the evidence locker and check the mud on them.
It was bentonite clay. And the only bentonite clay in that area was in that pond near the ex-husband's camp.
It's the final piece of the puzzle. Investigators can now connect her to the suspected murder weapon. After what was her remarkably well-planned assassination, it was mud that gave Janice away.
We have her. She actually stole that rifle, stole the ammunition from the ex-husband's camp, killed her current husband, disposed of the rifle somehow. She had it pretty well planned, except where she stepped.
After 3 long years, police head to Texas to arrest Janice for Bruce's murder. But she's got a final Western showdown in mind.
Miss Dodson!
Texas officers went into her house. She was almost under the bed with a shotgun clutched in her arms.
Gun!
Put the gun down!
Put the gun down!
Stop it! Do it now!
You're under arrest for the murder of your husband, Bruce Dodson.
She's extradited to Colorado, and charged with murder in the first degree. At trial, she passionately proclaims her innocence, but prosecutors reveal the truth to the jury. Janice convinced Bruce to go on his first hunting trip for their 3-month anniversary. Little did he know, he was her intended prey.
She had the spot planned where she was going to kill her husband. She was taking out insurance policies in case of death. Everything goes to her. She was preparing all of this even before they got married. There was no accident. That was a well-planned homicide.
And she tries to set up her ex-husband.
In this moment, she was going to get rid of both the men in her life at the same time. Oh, this would have been a win-win for her.
So be careful. Be safe.
Okay. Exciting.
With everything in place, she sends Bruce to an open field. She takes position with the stolen .308 rifle and fires. Though she's an experienced hunter, her first shot misses. Even as the man she vowed to love turns to face her and signals for help, she keeps shooting.
The second shot hit him dead in the chest. Fell to the ground, tried to crawl away. And the third shot, that's the one that went through the fence post. Shed the jacket, and that's why only the bullet core was in his left lung.
After a 15-day trial, the jury deliberates 3 days before finding Janice Dodson guilty of first-degree murder. They sentence her to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Damn her. She is where she belongs. She's a cold, cold person that can do this, that can take up a life of a man like Bruce. She's not fit to ever be released.
She was very cunning, very cunning. Had that one goal in mind, get that money, kill him, and then just show off.
She was just a calculating, gold-digging killer. He thought he had started his life over with a new person that loved him, was going to be a partner for him, and she proved him wrong.
He was just a good man and a man with a lot of integrity, and he didn't deserve this at all. And, you know, it still hurts very much that this happened to him.